Hi everyone, my name is Chiwei. I'm a PhD student at the University of Michigan, and today I'll be talking to you about our work, Feminist Interaction Techniques, Deterring Non-Consensual Screenshots with Interaction Techniques. And this work is done with our colleagues at the School of Information at the University of Michigan with Francesca Lamuro, Shvali Patel, Christy Reyes, and mentored by Eitan Adar, Eric Gilbert, and Sarita Schoenbeck. So to start, I would like to tell you about the problem space of non-consensual intimate media, which I'll refer to by the acronym NCIM. NCIM is sexual or private content that is either created or shared without the depicted person's permission. For example, you may have heard of revenge pornography. That is one example. And here, consent means the explicit agreement or permission to do something. And unfortunately, NCIM is quite common. A study estimates that in the United States, 1 in 8 people have either been threatened with or have experienced NCIM. So there's a difference between non-consensual creation and non-consensual distribution. Creation is to create some new material, new videos, new images, audio recordings, so what. For example, a recording during sexual assault or sexualized deepfakes created with like face swap technologies or stable diffusion inpainting used to nudify someone without their consent. And then the topic of this study, non-consensual distribution. In this case, you may have, someone may have obtained content initially consentfully. For example, in a monogamous romantic relationship, the partners could be sexting consensually. But if that relationship ends and then the other person takes these videos or images and shares them with others, either via messaging or online or in person, that constitutes as non-consensual distribution. So a bit more about the harms. There are a lot of bad things can happen with non-consensual distribution. Because content is so easy to duplicate once it's on a screen, either a phone screen or a computer screen, it makes it easy for this duplicated content to make its way on the internet, and once it reaches one website, because it's still easy to duplicate, and we know how the internet works, it will soon reach hundreds or thousands of websites and proliferate at rates way faster than we can get them removed. So then it essentially lives online forever. And this leads to reputational, emotional, and social harms for the depicted victim survivor. Oftentimes, the victim survivor's full name, where they work, where they live, names of their family members will appear alongside these abusive materials online. And this can get sent to their family members or friends, causing further harm. So here I want to talk to you about the role of screenshots. A screenshot can turn something that is ephemeral and private into something that is permanent and eternal. And at least on the iPhone, it's easy enough. It's just 2 clicks, one click of 2 buttons on each side of the phone, and you cut a crop of the screen. But screenshots are one way that non-consensual intimate media becomes duplicated and further disseminated. We have an example with Snapchat where they are being sued because they failed to warn users about sextortion risks. Young users, many underage, are sending nudes of themselves on Snapchat to others online without the full awareness that what they send is later screenshot and then further disseminated and then used to blackmail or extort them. So this leads us to our motivating questions. Can we put boundaries on consent? Currently, once content is sent, the recipient has irrevocable access to it. And the sender is not able to set boundaries on the access, and they lose agency over their likeness if they're sending a photo of themselves. So our question is, how can we contest the current notion that senders must lose control over shared media? And further, can an interaction technique deter unauthorized screenshots? So here we think about other cases of embedding design friction in systems. Typically in HCI, we want to minimize user burden and streamline user interactions to be as efficient as possible. But there are cases when we deter from that. For example, a speed bump on the road decreases efficiency. It causes cars to slow down, but for safety purposes. And there are machines that require the operator to use both of their hands to press buttons to operate. And both are examples of effortful interactions and intentional reflection. So this leads us to our design, our prototype called Hands Off. The basic idea is simple. It's show me your hands to view this content. So if a sender wants to send a photo to a recipient, the sender can opt in to choose it to send it via hands off. And the sender chooses a hand gesture for the recipient to perform. And the content that they send can only be viewed while this hand gesture is being detected by the recipient's camera. And this is done with a classification model that runs on the recipient's phone. So we designed these 4 different hand gestures: binoculars, frame, interlace, and wave. And our overall design goals are to first, of course, deter unauthorized screenshots. We designed these hand gestures to be difficult to perform them while also getting close to your screenshot buttons, but also to fit in with existing social norms. So for example, waving in front of our phones is something that we already do in a normal public context, but it might be strange to do binoculars in front of your phone out in public, and that is to deter from like public usage of this gesture. So here is an example of what our prototype looks like. As you can see, whenever the hand gesture is detected, the screen gets unlocked and it is green. But when the participant tries to get close to the camera and try to press those buttons, it becomes locked again. So the content that was sent then disappears. And in a minute, I'm going to show you all the interesting and creative ways that people came up with to try to red team and break this system. But in the meantime, I want to invite you to try this out for yourselves. If you want to take your phone out and try to do one of these gestures in front of your phone to the camera while also while trying to take a screenshot. So see if you can get close to your screenshot buttons while doing the hand gestures. So that's the same task we asked our participants to do. Here's some footage from our studies.
Okay, can I skip to the next one?
Yeah.
This one I think I can do.
So participants tried many different ways. Some tried to react faster than the model. Some tried to use other body parts to press buttons that's not their hands. And some tried to use other objects to press these buttons, such as boxes.
Okay.
And we have some more creative attempts also, such as using feet, knees, and elbows to press the screenshots. So these are obviously, you wouldn't see them out in public. It would be crazy, but it's to show the effort required to evade screenshot deterrence makes people do crazy things. So after these tasks, we asked participants how they felt about the study, about their experience, and we found that people believe this embodiment via hand gestures did help establish social norms around screenshots and consent. These are quotes from participants. One person said, "If it's something you have to do another task to see, I'm assuming it's something super private." And someone else said, "To take a screenshot is to be against the social norms of the technology. It feels bad to do it, and it forces you to think about something before you do it." So this leads us to more discussions on feminist values and interaction techniques. How does an interaction embed a set of values? And here we're talking about feminist values broadly, which seek to create a just and equitable society. So principles like gender equity, agency, and consent all belong in those buckets. We can think about the existing screenshot prevention methods. So we know on Netflix and WhatsApp, if you try to take a screenshot, you'll be met with a black screen or one that says you can't take a screenshot. And think about some of the differences between this method and the existing ones. One is that hand gestures act as a physical barrier to expand the design space. And this physical embodiment makes the user-defined boundaries more concrete so they can enact the boundaries that they want to create. And also, we're thinking about other socio-technical problems and the role of feminist interaction techniques may play in building systems and interactions. There are a whole host of difficult problems that exist in this boundary. In this study, we talked about the non-consensual distribution, but a giant problem now is the non-consensual creation of deepfakes, like with face swap and nudifying models. So thinking about those problems, different forms of online violence, intimate partner violence, and consent with data bodies. These are all potential areas where we can think about building novel systems and embedding values into them. So to conclude, we built a system to deter unauthorized screenshots that are used to duplicate non-consensual intimate media. Our system, hands-off, requires that the users show hand gestures to view content that is sent, and it embeds feminist values of agency, boundaries, and consent in interaction techniques via design friction, reflection, and intention. Thank you, and I'll be at the posters later if you want to talk more about how technology affords online sexual violence. Thanks.
So, are there any questions?
Oh, hi. Thank you for this talk. It's a very cool interaction. I was wondering about kind of like putting this sorts of technology out in the wild. Like, is this something that you think is going on like the app level, the OS level? Like, I know we're seeing social media is decentralizing rapidly, and I think putting in these frictions is harder and harder to do when you can't just target one big platform.
That's a great question. I'm glad you're thinking about it from like the different levels. So the tough part about this challenge is this is one intervention at one stage of preventing harms, and it is only at the interaction level, but there are different things we can do at the OS level. For example, can these files somehow protect themselves? Can, if we even go deeper like into the machine level, like what can we do there? So that requires different innovations. But speaking about like in the wild, there's still a lot of like this is only for like iOS, for example. So we'll be thinking about like future, expansion for different like devices and thinking about things like accessibility.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, thank you. I am Atul from University of Copenhagen. I have a question, like basically there are two questions. First is, generally I use my phones with one hand. Like, how am I supposed to like do it? Like, if I'm not at home. Second question is, like, you can map those gestures for taking screenshots. So, like, have you thought of using another alternate method, because they are very easy to bypass? Because maybe is it like maybe if you send maybe attach some sort of tag with your content that goes to a recipient, and then you cannot take a screenshot, it's embedded in your operating system or API, some sort of thing.
I think the first question is like the actual use case, and the second one is about ways to bypass it. So great questions. With the use cases, the way we had our participants do is we have just a phone stand in front of them, but you can also have it in your lap. But that is a useless thing. If you have one hand, the one hand can hold the phone, but it can also take the screenshot. So limitation there. But when it comes to other ways to bypass it, I don't want to call this a prevention method. It's only deterrence, and it's deterrence using the body. So the idea is to do the actual deterrence, but also to instill these social norms and to get people to think more about what these interactions actually do. Yeah. But yes, also there's always a way for people to take using a second device or having your friend do it for you, but to add but often for some social problems, if you just add a barrier there, even if it doesn't solve 100% of cases, it can solve, well, it can prevent, in our case, like 67% deterrence. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's thank again